We owe them grades, and then we turn the page. I'm Mike Fisher, your trusty and trusted reporter. Fish at 6, like live, as we do it from Frisco, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys. This is the Fishbowl. That is the SAR. We'll be back inside the building tomorrow, and we'll be back inside AT&T on Sunday, which used to be a hellhole for the visitors. Not so much. Here come the Ravens, but first, before we turn the page, let's hand out the grades. Sometimes when we talk here, I'm Mike Fisher, by the way. Did I tell you that? Your trusty and trusted reporter. And you are one of 72,000 fish heads in Cowboy Nation who like to hang out here because you like your news from Frisco and not from Bristow, thanks to the Uncle Fish store below and Broken Halo for running that show. Timely reminder of how fickle the NFL can be. And I'm not being dismissive of the loss when I say bleep happens. It does. Happened to the Eagles. It's happened to the Ravens twice. And maybe it'll happen to the Ravens again. But boy, oh boy, did bleep happen to the Cowboys on Sunday. A 6.5-point favorite, and they get destroyed by the visiting Saints, 44-19 at AT&T Stadium. That's the end of a 16-game home win streak. The bloom is off the rose, whatever that means. This game will be remembered, should be remembered, for Mike Zimmer, friend of the show, and his defense getting obliterated by Alvin Kamara, who has done this to Zim before, and by Derek Carr, who has done this to the Cowboys before. Dallas defense allows a lot of yards, all the third down conversions. Gave up 12 yards per play in the first half, I think, is the number. So let's look at some of the things we thought needed to be done and what didn't get done. You got to stop Alvin Kamara and the run game there. It's an explosive run game that they have, but it's also a consistent over the years run game that they have. In the first half alone, Kamara goes for 60 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, a single catch for 57 more yards, and another touchdown. Finishes with 180 total yards, and I think had 20 carries for 115. Zero answer. And the Cowboys' kryptonite continues to be stopping the run. That is an F. And we will grade harshly. We're throwing around a lot of Fs in the report card here. It's an F because it's the same old, same old. It's an F because it's not a surprise. It's an F because you said you fixed this. It's an F because you added personnel and even new coaches and a new coaching scheme with a specific plan to do something about this. F. Improve on third down. Boy, they talked about that inside the Star here all week. That as well as they did generally against the Browns in week 1, hey, let's get those first downs fixed. In the first half here, they did score 16 points on offense, converted 4 of 7 third downs, picked up 2 more in the entire second half. They end up 6 of 13 on third downs. And yes, there was some success between the 20s. As Dak said, we got better on third down, but now it's a problem with the red zone. Dak making the point that Dallas's third down worked, improved from week 1, is a statistical truth. So fine. It's not an F. It's a D. Oh, we got all these tight ends. We got so many tight ends. We can trade the legends of Peyton Hendershot. We got tight ends on the practice squad. We got tight ends in the second round. We got tight ends as undrafted rookie free agents that we give $250,000 to. We got tight ends coming out of our arse. So Schoon's going to step up. We're fine without Jake. Let the Jake bake. And Brevin Spanford, sir. Schoon had a one-handed catch. Spanford, sir, had a target. What about Fish's great idea of Hunter Lipke? Wonk, wonk. By the way, the target to Robbins Van Ford on 4th and 4, double covered. Prescott throws it anyway. Jake Ferguson, come home. That's a D. Not gonna listen. It's not Luke Schoonmaker's fault that he's just Luke Schoonmaker. Item 4 of the 5. Get the run game going. Ugh, F. And listen, there's some things that are game script, and there's some things that are decisions. For instance, defensively, not letting Demarvion Overshown play more than 14 snaps when he looked like a difference-making player in week 1. And this week, he's figuring out the system. That's coaching. That wasn't game script. That's talent and coaching and game script and just now, run game. This is organizational. It's not Rico's fault that he's Rico. It's not Zeke's fault that he's Zeke. Deuce Vaughn. 68 total rushing yards. Dak had to sling the ball over the field, so who cares about the run? My contention with these running backs is that it's not because the offensive line didn't play well. But ultimately, this offensive line is fine. These running backs are turning 7-yard gains into 3-yard gains, whereas Kamara did it the other way around. They're turning 3-yard gains into 1-yard gains, and they will never have a 20-yard gain. Jerry Jones went on 105.3 The Fan today and kind of poo-pooed the idea of bothering adding Dalvin Cook. Said, no, it's not. We're fine. Now Jerry might just be playing games there. We'll keep an eye on this. Practice Wednesday, and we'll be watching Dalvin Cook. If Dalvin Cook isn't a more breakaway threat than what the Cowboys presently have the roster, then he shouldn't be here. There's no reason for him to be here. If he's not a threat to be better than Deuce Vaughn, then what's the point? That just means he's Royce Freeman. Item 5. Dak and CD cooking the way they're paid. $34 million a year and $60 million a year. I'm not saying it's an albatross around your neck. It is a bullseye on your back. And in the postgame, guys, a bunch of you said this, why do they bother paying those guys if? I get it. Ultimately, I think those guys getting paid if will work out fine. Lamb and Dak connect on that early 65-yard touchdown. By the way, that wasn't really a 65-yard throw. It wasn't a 65-yard throw, you know. Number 88 had 4 receptions for 90 early on. But in the second half, I don't think he had a catch. So you're trying to come back, and you're slinging it all around the yard. And they found a way to take CD Lamb away? Ugh. What we saw without Ferguson, we saw, I think, in week 2, the trickle-down effect. They just don't have enough explosive producers to leave it all up to CD Lamb. Without going all X's and O's on you, second half, they found ways, even without Lattimore, they found ways. I assume they double covered CD Lamb. I guess. They certainly blanketed him, harassed Dak to some degree, dared somebody else to beat him. And the Cowboys don't have the explosive weaponry to offer up a bunch of other somebodies. The lack of weapons that scare defenses, this goes for week 1 and week 2, is now pretty obvious. The question is, did the Saints just create a blueprint? Make sure the Cowboys don't get any 7-yard runs. Pretty easy to do. And then if Jake Ferguson's not playing, do everything you can to take away CD Lamb. and then start handing out the Fs. We're going to give Dak and CD a C. It's pass or fail. I mean, I guess pass. It's not like it was their fault. Dak Prescott for $60 million. He's on the list because, the great quarterbacks, more often than not, find ways. And that hasn't happened in the 2 games where Dak Prescott has found ways. First game, he bus drove the thing. Second game, they drove everything right into the ground. They'll get another crack at it. And we'll get another crack at looking at the star to see and talking to people to find out what in the world can be changed in terms of scheme, because it doesn't sound like you're changing the weapons. Report card, in, fish, out.